Okay, I'm live in junk. I got one watching. That's me. I'm live in junk. I got one watching. That's me. Okay. Here we go. So I couldn't find a transitional piece between Nordic and Cave, so I just made my own by putting this piece right up against this as close to the grid will allow me to snap, and then filling it all with boulders. Enough so that it covers all the seams, but not so much that you can't see the door from this point of view. So, running past that, here's the start of our hallway. We're going to snap this, have it go down a little bit. Then we're going to turn a corner. Corners are denoted by two-way, I think. Yeah, here we go. Three-way would be there's another entrance right here. Four-way would be like a four-way stop. It would just be four pillars that allow you to build out in any direction. So we have a curve here that goes down, and then right here at this corner point, we're going to have skeevers spawn. They're going to patrol away. So you'll just get a glimpse of them. If you're running quickly, you might be able to like get in their encounter radius, and then they'll attack you. But I'm not counting on that happening. It's just visual. You will fight them when you get to this clearing that we're going to make, though. So let's create another brief straight period right here. This one's got a ceiling thing in it. We don't want that. So let's see what number 3 looks like. There's 3 variations of this straightaway. This one looks good. There's no hole in the ceiling. Just looks slightly different from the rest. Okay, so we don't want another same kind of corner, so let's add a three-way and then cap off one of the entrances with a dead end, or end cap as it's called. Let's move that over here so it's not actually anything. Okay, so this thing is going to wind a little bit, and then after the next curve we're going to end up in a small room with our dead adventurer and some rats on him. So you come around this curve and okay, so we need one more straightaway. Let's see if there's a curvy kind. Yeah, it's a good idea. Let's see. Yeah, I like that idea. Let's make this a three-way. And then we'll add an end cap. Oops. Okay, grab that end cap. There you are. And then we'll add boulders. My favorite model in this entire game is good old Cave Boulder 2. Let's find it. some reason my replace isn't working. Let's go grab it. I know you're in here. There you are. It looks so good. It's so usable from any angle. Well, any 160 or 180 degree angle. There's just endless variety you can achieve with this boulder. It's my favorite thing ever. Anyway, let's copy paste that bitch. There we go. Fuck it, let's just do that. There we go. So now we have like a little crevasse that the rats can come out of. You trigger it when you're like right here, so you'll see them going down. Then they will go over here, and they'll either despawn or you'll fight them. Not sure which. But let's go ahead and add them now. Okay, there's 2. Alright, now I have to make patrols for them. Let's see, where is the patrol? It's in here somewhere. Oh, here we go. It's linked ref. Idle time, we'll have them sit there for say 5 seconds. Enough time for you to get down the stairs. And then they will go to the next one. It's really been a while since I set up any of this. There isn't a hallway beyond the boulders. One more section, then an end cap. I agree. Let's get these out of the way. There we go. So you can kind of see past it, but you can't get in there. You can choose no seams. Okay. Now normally, I'd want to like play test this and make sure that this works right, they path correctly. But since this is just a visual aid anyway, and this could change, I'm just going to leave it as is. But I can at least set up the trigger box. Let's see. Multi-bound cube. This is what I want. Let's make it long enough that it covers the whole hallway. Tall enough so it's the same. Okay, so you get to about here. It's covering the entire width of the hallway. Okay, doing this. We'll add a pre-made script. When I was explaining scripts, I was doing it poorly. You can't create your own scripts to do unique things. You can only use scripts that are already in the game. So there is enable, default enable. Okay, so these skeevers are going to be disabled by default. When you walk through this plane, or this box rather, it's going to enable them, and then they'll start their AI. Okay, so now let's make sure the properties are what we want. No delay, no fade. Yes, there are some scripts that we might be able to use for storytelling. Enabling, disabling things, things that can emit sound, things that can change the music, although I wouldn't mess with that because that's caused problems for me. Okay, so here's how this works. You pass through this plane. It enables, or it triggers this trap linker right here. And the trap linker will enable these three skeevers. The three skeevers start their AI, and they run across your plane of view down here and then over here. When they reach this point, I could do a script that disables them again, or I could have them stop and look at like a skull or something, or some blood, and then you simply fight them. That might be a better option anyway, because it's, you want to introduce combat at some point. Okay, so this won't work. I have to make sure that this chain works correctly. There's a piece that's missing from it, I think, but I can reference that when I look at the warehouse. They built some warehouses in the editor so that you can look at how traps are made and make sure that they're rock solid before you put them in your dungeon. It's very, very kind of them to do that. They totally didn't need to, but there's these big ass rooms full of traps that all work perfectly. So if you ever have problems getting your own trap to work, you can look and see how they successfully made theirs. So I'd like to have a bunch of skeever encounters. Like, like a wave of rats as you move through this twisting corridor. But that could also be an option too, simply one wave of rats that, you know, you meet up with them down the hall next to the adventure. Because I want rats to be on that adventure anyway. So it may end up coming to that if I can't get this to work correctly with them stopping and despawning or whatever. So let's continue making this hallway. Let's see. Could do some downward stairs. I'd like to do the one that's curvy. I don't think there is a curvy one. Okay. I want one that's got something like this, just for more variety, so it's less blocky. But I'll work with what I can get. You see, there is something I could do. I could take off the rotational snapping, move this like a little bit, fill in the gaps with boulders and shit like I did over there, and then snap everything else. I can set my parent snap point to this piece, so then the rest of what I build lines up. But if I lose the snapping on this piece, or if I ever accidentally like click in the gray area to, you know, set the snap to default in again, then some of my pieces may snap back to what they should be as the default snap, and it could mess things up. It still makes me want to try it though, especially since this won't be a huge area. Just seems like a risk. But that is something that I could decide later on. Yeah, you're right. If it weren't blocky, it wouldn't look like new construction. We do have a rando. Hello, rando. What I'm doing is I'm making like a basic level shell of a dungeon that we're making. So I'm not adding a ton of detail. I'm just making the basic structures. So we have the entrance here. Player enters in this cave. It's a long shaft with a drop. Go along to the bottom. You find a quest item down here that propels you forward. And then you go to this cave to Nordic transition. I know that there's a piece that can transition from cave to Nordic, but I couldn't find it, so I just kind of made my own. But that's not too out of the normal anyway. Then down here, basically, you find a plague of rats that follows. You follow down the corridor until you find a dead adventurer. Dead adventurer, again, has something else that propels you forward. He's going to have a note on him that kind of fills you in on something that happens down here. You find a book, and you find one of the missing pages. Okay, so I want one more three-way. And I can do the same thing here if I wanted to. Make another little offshoot right here with boulders and have rats come this way. But for now, we'll go the simpler route. Oh, Jesus. There we go. Okay, now here's the point where I could have one of those pre-made chambers if I want to. Or I could have just like a regular small room But here's one of those chambers. One of these. Let's get one with the floor because we don't want that shaft in the middle. Okay, so there's a big to small transition that I can use to get to one of these small doors. And I can fill this in with one of those pre-made like sloping circular structures. I think it's in here. Yeah, this thing right here. Oh, here we go. So I could have this. And then I could have the Dead Adventure like right around the corner next to this gutter right here. I kind of like this actually. I really like the design of this chamber because you could use all these doors if you want to. You could block them off. So I'm gonna do that. We'll start with that. I can always change it to something else later. But I also like the size of this room too. It's about the size I was gonna make manually anyway. So we just need the transition piece from big to small. Here we go, big hall. And exit small. Here we go. And this lines up just perfectly. And these end caps I have here, I can fill those in with something like, it doesn't have to be a chest or a ward, but there's detail you can add, like pieces of a sprung trap or moss vegetation, lighting, stuff like that. Like these aren't going to just be dimly lit corridors. There's going to be, like, to create the same kind of gradient that I have here with bright and then dark and then bright again. You do the same. You'd add torches. They do this in the base game too. It's not all uniformly lit. There's like dark light with torches at intervals, and it looks much better and it's easier on your eyes than if you simply had like a uniform lighting thing. There are lots of dungeons I've played from other people for Special Edition. They don't use lights. They just have like ambient lighting, but they don't actually have lights. And it bothers me. Your level could look so much better if you use actual lights. They have a whole page on that too, on the Creation Kit wiki. I think there's 2 pages actually, 2 really long tutorial pages on how to use lights and shadow lights and directional and all sorts of stuff. It's really helpful. Okay, so let's make our dead guy. Let's pull this over here. We want bandit. I think there are pre-made like corpses that you can use that are meant to be used as such, but if I can't find those quickly, then I can just use a regular encounter and set him to be dead. So we got a rando right here. Starts dead. Send him up over here. So he'll, in the game, when he spawns, he'll just fall over. Let's see if I can find corpse though, instead of curiosity. Oh yeah, here we go, treasure corpse. Alright, so I'm lucky enough to find it. We want I think there are bandits. Yeah, bandit, Redguard, male. I'm pretty sure they don't need to be specified as starts dead, but I'll do that anyway, just because. Now, I want to find the use info for one of these bandits and see how they used it because I'm pretty sure there's a way that in the editor it'll show up dead and you can move his body parts however you want. So you can set him up. So let's find Nord Mail. Use info. There's one in Markarth Mines. Let's load that real quick. Okay, here we go. I think you hold, it's not Z, it's shift something to grab a body part and then you can move it. Okay, not that important, but now I know that there is, I'm not crazy, you can do this. Let's go back and reload. Okay. Now, if I recall, there are decals you can use to add blood spurts, so I'll do that now. There we go. So he'll fall over in a puddle of blood. When I test how this encounter works, I'll either make another one down here, if that worked well, and then the rats will go to him, or I'll simply have them despawn and spawn more rats on top of him. Either way, he will have rats on him. It'll be lovely. Okay. So what else in this room needs to happen? It's introducing combat for one. It's not hard, but it's just letting you know that there are other dangers and just environmental hazards. And there's going to be a torch. The lighting in the room is going to be warm for conflict. It's going to be a torch. Where's that light? There it is. I'm pretty sure I don't need this light anyway because torches, as a physical object, they emit a light source. So we'll see if I'm wrong. I'm looking at the number of use cases for a torch in Skyrim, the entire game, and it's almost 1,200. There are 1,200 little torches just lying around. So yeah, I don't need this, really. Unless I want the extra light, because this isn't that bright. So we'll leave that right there. And then we will have a scrap of something next to him. I can set it to be... don't havoc settle. That way it'll stay there, and it won't get knocked around by shouts and stuff. Okay, so now we need to block off some of these doors, because this is it's a linear dungeon. At least this part is. The trials is going to be totally linear. I did the whole non-linear dungeon last time, and it was fine, but you know, a good dungeon doesn't have to be non-linear. You can add little offshoots and side areas, but the way forward can be clear that there's just one way forward. So let's find me some doors. New software is available from Apple. Isn't there always? Shut up. Alright. Nordic door small. I want the shiny one. Where's the shiny one? Okay, so this could be locked. Here we go. Actually, it's unwise to make a locked door that's meant to be permanently locked because players will always wonder where the key is. It's gonna be like a nagging itch. So I should add like a hallway that's open and some rubble to block it off, or something that clearly tells the player, no, there isn't anything down this way. They do that? They have doors that are just there purely for show? I don't remember them. I mean, it would make more sense to include those, because having all this rubble and shit, it wouldn't go along with the theme. This place was like relatively recently built. Okay, well, for now, we will add doors. I could circumvent both issues by using all 4 of these doors. Have one of them be the main way forward. I'll mark it with light or something adorning it. The other 2 will just be small side areas, like a small hallway about this big, small room that's flooded or something like that. But for now, just add doors. Perhaps the main way forward will be the door with the crest on it. This right here. The other 2 doors will be just like these plain looking ones. Okay, and I can plan out what to do from there. Okay, so we have our dead guy. Oh, that's right, we need to add the trap. That's right, he died by the worst trap ever. You know what? Let's go to the trap warehouse. That's an awful lot of fun, and we can find the mammoth trap rather than trying to search for it through 5,000 things that all have the word mammoth in it. So let's go to interiors, warehouse, warehouse traps. This dungeon is a motherfucker. Just look at it. Just every trap you could possibly imagine. Some of them painstakingly made just for my use and copy pasting to my own work. This looks really cool if you change into a shadow light, so I'm going to do that real quick. Boop. Up the brightness. Just looks neat. Anyway, there is a mammoth trap in here somewhere. All these chests, all different types of things that swing out and kill you. Here's the other kind of swinging trap. It's the blade. Oh no, this is the battering ram. Okay, so here's how we can do this. We can go to cell view, which shows every single object in the cell, and I can scroll down and I can try and find. It seems to be in alphabetical order, so I can go to trap and go up and see if I can find trap mammoth or something like that. I see mace. Okay, so there's nothing there. Maybe trap swinging something. Nope. Okay, let's try mammoth. Oh, there's a bear trap. So we're searching for only traps right now. There's a battering ram. Maybe they didn't put in the mammoth trap because it's so similar to the battering ram. Oh, here we go. Skull ram. That's it. Let's go to that. Here it is. It's a big old thing, and let's see what it's connected to. It appears to be connected to... Oh, it's this tripwire right here. So I'll copy these two things. Let's go back. Whoops. Except it's not really made to be put in a room like this. It's kind of like a hallway type of thing. So, also we want it to be already sprung. So this thing right here will break its script if it has one. Let's see. We'll just make sure this has no linked reference. It's not the parent of anything. Okay, so we'll delete that, and they're no longer linked. So we can have this tripwire. Wonder if there's a way to make it start out tripped. Okay, not sure. I'll have to come back to that. But at least we have it. Let's put it right here in a place that the bandit might have gone over. Yeah, you like Trap Warehouse? It's pretty fucking awesome. Okay, this looks alright. But we do want it to be already sprung. I mean, it doesn't really, because look where it is. Like, he died in a pretty exact spot by the gutter. It doesn't make any sense, no. We would maybe put this in the hallway and then have a couple of blood trails leading up to where he eventually fell. That could work. So like it's already sprung, say, right here, and you simply walk around it, like, huh, wonder what happened. You follow the blood trail, and then you find the dude. That works too, yeah. This could be farther over here. And he literally went flying across the room. We'd need, because it's farther over this way, the curvature of the room makes it so that things are hard to hide. I already had a plan to use a blood trail type of thing to an adventure in a further room, but we can just use this here because the nature of this trap makes it kind of difficult to use in open space like this. So yeah, I'll put this right here. And then to make sure that it is sprung, I'll add this to the trap linker I have here. Alright. This trap linker activates the skeevers and also makes sure that this thing is down by the time you get to it. Then we add some more blood trails. That is a lot of blood, though. Maybe we should change this to a medium small. There. And then small. Change to tiny. Okay. That's a bit better. And that's his final resting spot, by the gutter. Okay. I don't think I can deform them, because they're decals emitted in a direction by this arrow. We'll try to make them... Oh, you can make them bigger or smaller, maybe. No, it doesn't even really make it smaller or bigger. I do have to rebuild the scene, though. I mean, I suppose I could take a bunch of tiny ones and line them up to make a more of a trail. You can see how that would work. Like each step he's taking, he's losing more blood. I had to, I got a notification. I got a gentleman by the name of ZHEP comment on the stream that I did a couple hours ago. Jesus, what a fucking dweeb. And I went ahead and upvoted that shit. That made my day significantly better. Thank you, GP. GP, yeah. Wonder how many subscribers you have. It appears that your account consists of only memes. Okay. I mean, to be in the world of fags and cunts, getting called a dweeb, that's pretty up there. That's a choice word. So this thing, I'm thinking this could have a bunch of urns, but they're all empty, because the whole theme of place been picked clean up until you get to the part where, you know, people are dying left and right. So, let's see what is up next. I'm going to have the encounter once I test it and see if I can get it to work right with the patrols. We're going to have the book page, another corridor that leads to traps that are actually dangerous to the player. So I'm thinking some poison darts that simply go across, empty chest, and then spear traps that are stuck in the we killed somebody position. There's going to be some distant water audio that's easy enough to do. And then here's where I was going to have blood decals and another guy slumped over. We could maybe do the same thing. I don't know. Repetition kind of makes me leery. Maybe we could have the adventure right next to the chest, and you loot the gold off the body instead. After that, you get to our... this may not work anymore, because it's a stream in a Nordic area. It may still work. It would just have to be built with the water in mind. It's going to be like kind of a cave antechamber with a waterfall like running through a crack and forming a stream. But it could simply be like a man-made channel for the water. But that is ahead. We still have to make another corridor. Okay. So the way forward is actually this. Let's have it open by default. And then we'll start on this next corridor. Okay, let's get the cell view out of the way. See, this is kind of like a busy work portion of the process because we're just making some corridors. Corridors aren't that important. They're there to convey a feeling of building suspense and stuff like that. They should have at least one interesting thing going on in them. But for the most part, it's not like we're building a big set piece like this, or even to a smaller extent like this, where something major is happening. So this is like the ramble about how building hallways is boring. Oh, I need to get an exit first. I feel like you would enjoy this very much. I don't want that. There it is. Wait, no, still not it. So you want to go deeper. I'm having the worst time navigating this space. My 3D modeling lab instructor would be just shaking his head right at me right now. So that may not work. No, it definitely doesn't. Let's try it that way. There we go. Nope, still doesn't work. Clips in. And really, we don't want this shaft anyway, come to think of it. With the whole we're deep underground thing. Okay, so we've got the spiral down to kind of disorient you about which direction you're really going. And then, let's see, what we wanted was another slightly bigger chamber. This one I'll probably do manually though, because I don't want a repeat of this. And it's going to have another sprung trap in it. But we do want traps in here. The way you want to introduce it is start real simple, and then you can ramp up the difficulty from there, and it'll be fair because the players had enough time to consider it. So we start off with traps that are even sprung. They're not even dangerous to us. You just see the after effects. Now you can start with, say, some poison darts or something easy like that. And then you can combine the two. Like you can add a battering ram or like a locational hazard like that, and combine it with like poison dart or something like that, or a trap shooter. I want to get a little farther away from this geometry though, so I'm going to go down one more. And then we can go into catacombs. There's a slightly bigger hallway that you can use that works really well with traps. Like in the base game, these things always have traps in them. You need to make an entrance though first. Also, I need to learn how to rotate things. Alright, that's not right. They're overlapping like that. Okay, so I may need to change my render window settings and go to snap to grid 64 so I can get that closer. There we go. We gotta make sure there's no Z fighting. If something is like overlapping a little bit, you'll get that funny little texture movement right there. So you want to make sure your snap actually snapped correctly. You look for seams. I think it's because I had this curvy piece, which is like slightly shorter than the rest, or something like that. Something threw off the grid slightly. But that's why you have smaller pieces to kind of make up for it. Okay, so now we're ready to continue with the catacombs. My coffee's really wearing off, and my voice is getting tired. So I think I got 5 more minutes, and then I'm donezo. Now I'm thinking, since we just went through a a narrow hallway, we might want to open this up to a bigger hallway because there are bigger catacomb hallways too. Like this. Could have bigger traps too. Thinking about the impact it'll make when the hallway opens up to the next chamber though. Could make it an even bigger chamber. Or it could simply be an aside, like a small offshoot of the big hallway. So we go from like a bigger catacomb hallway to a smaller room on the side. Okay, I'm gonna leave off here then. I'll think about what this next chamber should look like. For one night, I think that's a good amount done of our shell. We even got to thinking about some of the specifics too. Like what exactly this trap is going to look like, the encounter. I wasn't even planning on that, so. Literally wanting to just slap together Lego pieces. So, that's pretty cool. Yep, thank you for your help. And I'm outie.